Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
good. How's everyone doing today?
Amazing. And you?
Oh, I'm getting there. So we'll go ahead and get started. So today we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of cholesterol. So today when you leave here, you're going to know the different kinds of cholesterol, what healthy cholesterol looks like, and what lifestyle changes you need to make in order to lower your cholesterol. So what is cholesterol? Cholesterol is a waxy substance. It's made in the liver. And it's not bad. I mean, I know it gets a bad rap and people think it's bad, but it's not. You actually need cholesterol to perform functions in your body. And your body makes all that it needs. The problem comes in when your genes cause your liver to make more cholesterol than what you need, or you have a diet high in saturated fat. And remember that, because we're going to talk about that more later on in the presentation. So remember the saturated fat, and it's the key to lowering your LDL cholesterol. So some of the uses for cholesterol: it's used to form cells. It's used to make bile in the liver to digest fats. It's also the precursor of vitamin D. So in the presence of sunlight, the body converts cholesterol into vitamin D. And it's also needed to create hormones, including sex hormones. So there are two basic types of cholesterol. You got the good guys, which is HDL, or high density lipoprotein. You have the bad guys, which are LDL, or low density lipoprotein. So the HDL cholesterol carries the extra cholesterol in your blood back to the liver, so it can your body can get rid of it. So you want a lot of that. You want a high level of the good guys, or HDL. The bad guys, on the other hand, those are the LDL cholesterol, or low density lipids. And when you have too much cholesterol, it can build up in your blood vessels, and this can cause your vessels to narrow, and then it's hard for the blood to get through to nourish organs. And it can lead to high blood pressure. It can lead to heart attack. It can raise your risk of stroke. It can also cause the kidneys to fail. Now I'll add one more on here, the ugly. Those are the triglycerides. That's a fat kind of like cholesterol. It's made in the liver, and it moves through your bloodstream. High triglyceride levels increase your risk for heart disease as well, and diabetes. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit too. So if your artery supplying blood to the heart becomes blocked, you have a heart attack. Everybody probably knows that. But it's the same with an artery supplying blood to the brain. When it becomes blocked, you have a stroke. And then arteries supplying blood to the kidney, you can suffer from kidney failure. So obtaining a lipid panel, or in other words, your cholesterol levels at a screening, is a great way to gauge whether you're at risk for getting heart disease. So what do these numbers mean? It can be confusing and misunderstood. So let's think about how we can remember the good from the bad. So if you love spaghetti westerns, we can use the characters from the good, the bad, and the ugly to help. So you have Clint Eastwood. He played Blondie, and he was the good guy. Down here you have the bad guy, Lee Van Cleef. He played Angel Eyes. And then the ugly was Eli Wallach, and he played Tuco. If not, then we can use the H in HDL to remember healthy, and you want that number to be high. And then the L for the bad cholesterols, think lousy and low. You want that number to be low. And then triglycerides, you have a G, just like the word ugly. So you know those aren't good either. So here's a chart with what your numbers should be. So for men, 40 to 59 is a normal range, and 50 to 59 for women is a normal range. In a perfect world, everybody would have HDL levels 60 and above, which is very, very good. HDL is exercise related. So that's the most important thing to do to increase your HDL cholesterol is add exercise into your day. Bad cholesterol, anything less than 100 is normal, but if you have less than 70, that's very, very, very good. And LDL cholesterol is diet related. So that's the saturated fat in your diet. Remember, we talked about saturated fat. Keep that in mind. We'll bring that up later in the presentation as well. Triglycerides, those are affected by sugar and alcohol, as well as the fat in your diet. And we want those to be less than 150. Total cholesterol, we want to see anything less than 200. So this is an image from the famous scene in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly at the end of the movie, where there's an iconic standoff between the three main characters. So statistically, one of these three main characters will end up with high cholesterol at some point in their lives. So let's look at that. Look at their at these characters. So the good, or Clint Eastwood, he's still alive and he's 92. The bad, which is Angel Eyes, or Lee Van Cleef, he died in 1989 at the age of 64 from a heart attack, but he also had throat cancer. So I'm not really sure if he had high cholesterol, but chances are he probably did. And then the ugly is Eli Wallach, or that's Tuco, and he died in 2014 at the age of 98 of natural causes in his sleep. So of these three, it appears that there was one of them that had high cholesterol. So what's the big deal? Again, cholesterol is a waxy substance. Too much cholesterol is what poses a problem. So let's think of your arteries as galvanized pipe that's been transporting water for years. Homes built before 1960 will still have these kind of pipes. So what happens over time? In this slide, you can see that it rusts and gets narrow. And what happens then? Anybody have an answer? Anyone?
They get all clogged up.
Exactly. And that's what happens with your vessels too. The plaque starts to build up in the arteries, and then they narrow and can cause a lot of damage. The amount of blood and water that's able to get through gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So now what do you do? The next few slides, we're going to talk about what you can do to help lower your cholesterol. Quit smoking. Quitting smoking is the #1 thing you can do to improve your health. And before anybody asks, yes, all forms of tobacco, whether it's chew or vape, hurt the heart. So you want to try to quit all of it if you can. So most of us know smoking's bad, and it can do a number on your lungs and heart and overall health. And it actually takes up to the average number of times it takes to quit is 7. So if you've tried and you haven't been successful, keep trying, because it takes an average of 7 times to quit. Cigarette smoking interferes with the metabolism of fats, which is what cholesterol is. So it elevates triglycerides, your LDL, and lowers your good cholesterol. So you lose some of that protective benefit of the HDL cholesterol. Clint Eastwood was actually a non-smoker, although he did smoke in many of the movies that he was in. So on the right side of the screen here, we have the saturated fats. Those are the bad fats. And they are mostly animal products, although you do have the coconut oil and palm oil, palm kernel oil in that category as well. So the idea, because remember we said saturated fat raises your LDL cholesterol, is to swap the saturated fat for the unsaturated fat. Unsaturated fats are mostly plant-based, although you have the fish, salmon, trout, herring, mackerel, and tuna in this category. The American Heart Association recommends that 7% or less of your daily calories come from saturated fat. So if you're following a 2,000 calorie diet, that's just 16 grams of saturated fat per day. So how you figure this is you take the number of calories that you're following, you multiply that by 0.07 and then divide by 9. So I've kind of figured out a couple calories and the amount of saturated fat that would go along with it. So 1,200 calories would be 9 grams of saturated fat. 1,400 calories would be 11 grams of saturated fat. 1,600 calories would be 12 grams. 1,800 calories would be 4 grams, and then 2,000, 16 again. And I'm going to show some fat tubes toward the end of the presentation. So kind of keep that in mind where you think your saturated fat amounts should be. Cutting back on added sugar, that's important as well. Americans eat way too much. So Voss and colleagues analyzed data on 6,113 adults. They participated in a large ongoing National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey between 1999 and 2006. And sugar consumption appeared to be directly related to HDL and triglyceride levels. So the more sugar the participants ate, the lower their HDL and the higher their triglycerides. So as of 2020, the new nutrition labels have to include total added sugars. It always included total sugars, but it has to include added sugar. So this nutrition label shows that has 10 grams of added sugar. So to convert that to teaspoons, you're going to 1 teaspoon equals 4 grams. So it has 2.5 teaspoons of added sugar per serving. And then over here, it shows you the daily limit. So men, 9 teaspoons or 36 grams. Women, 6 teaspoons. Actually should be 24 grams if you're multiplying by 4. So that's what you should look at when you're looking at grams of added sugar on the nutrition.
Wow. 10 grams, that'd be over your limit.
Most Americans get their added sugar from sports drinks, soda, specialty coffee drinks, and other beverages, including with added sugar. And then desserts is another way that Americans get their sugar. Any questions? Okay, so let's cross the Atlantic to our friends around the Mediterranean Sea. These folks have the lowest rates of heart disease and the best cholesterol levels in the world. So what does their diet look like? Hey, you might get some general tips from how these people eat in order to lower your cholesterol level. So they eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Vegetables are vitally important to the fresh taste, delicious flavors around the Mediterranean diet. They also eat less meat. So maybe changing the way you think about meat, eating smaller portions and leaner cuts of meat. Like a small strips of sirloin in a vegetable sauce or a dish of pasta with diced prosciutto. Eating dairy, make sure it's low fat, like Greek yogurt or plain yogurt. And maybe a small variety of cheeses, small amounts of cheeses. They eat seafood frequently. Fish, herring, salmon, sardines are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Shellfish, including mussels, oysters, and clams, have similar benefits for heart health. Try a meatless Monday or cook a vegetarian meal one night a week. You can build your meal around beans, whole grains, and vegetables, and then use the fragrant herbs and spices to give it flavor. Eating good fats, we talked about some of those. Extra virgin olive oil, oils, nuts, peanuts, sunflower seeds, olives, and avocados are all good, healthy fats. Switch to whole grains. Whole grains are naturally rich in important nutrients. They have a fuller, nuttier taste and extra fiber, and it'll keep you satisfied for hours. Some of the Mediterranean grains are barley, farro, and brown, black, or red rice. And then instead of eating sweet desserts, maybe have some fresh fruit. Pomegranates, grapes, apples, or oranges are all Mediterranean type fruits. Limit alcohol. So the goal for women is 1 drink per day, and the goal for men is 2 drinks per day.
I remember that.
And before you ask if you can save them up for the weekend, one of the, I think either the American Heart Association or the Cancer Society, one of them says you can, one of them says you shouldn't, but I think there's a limit of 7 if you do. So drinking in moderation is important. The main benefit of alcohol it raises the HDL cholesterol, and particularly red wine. It offers the greatest benefit for lowering heart disease because it contains resveratrol, which have antioxidant properties, and they might protect the artery walls. On the flip side, if you drink too much alcohol, you can increase your risk for heart disease and stroke. It raises blood pressure and contributes to obesity. So if you're not a drinker, you don't need to start. You get the same benefits from eating grapes. However, if you do drink, just try to do so in moderation. And exercise, everybody's favorite. It doesn't take walking across the desert like Blondie did in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. However, exercise will improve your cholesterol levels. So it does reduce the absorption of cholesterol into the blood, and it helps transport cholesterol to the liver so it can then be eliminated by the body. Moderate exercise is 150 to 300 minutes a week, or moderate intensity is 75 to 150 minutes per week. And then they recommend strength training 2 times per week. If you're doing moderate exercise most days of the week, it effectively reduces your LDL cholesterol by 5 to 10%, and it increases your HDL cholesterol by 3 to 6%. And then aiming for a healthier weight is another way to reduce your LDL cholesterol. If you have high blood cholesterol and are overweight or obese, you can improve your health by aiming for a healthy weight. All you have to do is lose 3% to 5% of your weight to make a difference. And we have been talking to a company pharmaceutical company, Novo Nordisk. They make diabetes medications and they have an obesity program. And something interesting that I learned from that is that we all have a weight set point. So each of us has a biological blueprint, and with that is a weight set point, and that is 5 to 20 pound range where our bodies thrive and they don't fight against change. But the set point is affected by the environment, by excess food, and by limited exercise. So this will override your body's natural set point, and it will set up a less healthy set point for you. So in theory, you should not lose any more than 10% of your body weight at a time. And then keep it at that, keep that weight for 6 months, and then try to reset your weight set point again.
You lost
Does that make
about
sense?
10%, didn't you?
Oh, good, Cindy. Yeah, I think the Mediterranean diet is the best, is one of the better ones to follow.
More creeps.
And managing stress. I imagine life in the 1800s out west was fairly stressful, but we know that stress can cause an increase in your bad cholesterol indirectly. So that means if you're under stress, you're eating a less healthy diet, you're probably not exercising as much, have a higher body weight, and just overall unhealthy living, which is the known risk factors for high cholesterol. And this was found to be especially true in men. And another study focused on 90,000 people found that those who self-reported being more stressed at work had a greater chance of being diagnosed with high cholesterol. And I think this is because the body releases a hormone called cortisol. You probably all heard about that. And it can increase, if you have an increased cortisol, you can have an increased cholesterol level. And regardless of physical reasons why stress can impact cholesterol, multiple studies show that a positive correlation between high stress and high cholesterol. While there are other factors that contribute to high cholesterol, it seems stress can be one of them too. So reducing your stress is important. So try to take these recommendations to heart. Give yourself 3 months to see significant changes in your cholesterol level. So if you're making these changes, you want to give your system a chance to catch up before you check them and see if there's any difference. So I am going to So I have some fat tubes here that have, we're going to talk about the fat and the saturated fat in the tubes. So everybody have an idea of what your saturated fat limit should be for the day?
Nope, I don't.
So remember, 16 grams if you're following is 2,000 calorie diet.
Okay, right.
Right? Okay. So something around that. If you're following fewer calories per day, then it should be less than that. So anywhere between 9 grams and 16 grams, somewhere in there.
That's all we should be having of saturated fat.
Yes, that's saturated fat. So let's see what these tubes. Can you see the tube? So this is vanilla ice cream and a half a cup of vanilla ice cream. That's 7 grams of fat and 4.2 grams of saturated fat. And how many of us just eat half a cup of vanilla ice cream? right?
Yeah, not me.
And if we're talking about total fat too, so that should be 20 to 35% of your calories from total fat. And that's anywhere from 44 to 56 grams. So this has 7 grams of total fat and 4.2 grams of saturated fat. This, you can see it, is a McDonald's premium grilled chicken sandwich, classic, without mayonnaise. And the fat for that is 4.5 grams and saturated fat is 1 from that one. This tube, which is almost full, is 12 to 15 regular potato chips. And that is 9.6 grams of fat, 1.5 grams of saturated fat.
I can never eat again.
So this one is a Pizza Hut 12-inch pepperoni pizza, 1 slice thin crust. That's 9 grams of fat and 4 grams of saturated fat. This one is a Milky Way candy bar, 1.84 ounces. That's 10 grams of fat, 7 grams of saturated fat. This is a McDonald's French fries, 2.5 ounces or a small size French fries. And that's 11 grams of fat, oops, and 1.5 grams of saturated fat. This is 4 square graham crackers or 10 saltine crackers. And that is 3 grams of fat, 0.3 grams of saturated fat. It's not too high there. This is Dairy Queen soft serve, a 1/2 cup. Or it says it's found in a child's vanilla cone. And it is, let's see, 4.5 grams of fat and 3 grams of saturated fat. So a little less than regular vanilla ice cream. This is Ritz or Townhouse crackers, 10 crackers. And there's 9 grams of fat and 2 grams of saturated fat in that. And this is a baked potato or tortilla chips, 9 to 15 chips. That's 3 grams of fat, 0.3 grams of saturated fat. So, one. This one is a hot dog. And that is 13 grams of total fat and 4 grams of saturated fat. This is 3 ounces of fish, not fried, of course. Total fat is 0.89 and saturated fat is 0.2 grams. So not a lot in that one. This one is a cup of skim milk. That's 0.3 grams of total fat and 0.1 gram of saturated fat. compared to, this is whole milk. Total fat is 8 grams and saturated fat is 5 grams. Lean ground beef, 3 ounces. What is it? 13 grams of total fat and 5 grams of saturated fat in lean ground beef. Compared to 3 ounces of chicken. This is no skin, roasted. 7.5 grams of total fat and 2 grams of saturated fat. And these 3 tubes are all one item. Anybody want to guess what it is?
Pizza
What?
Gana.
What'd you say?
Pizza
Donut.
Gana.
Donut?
No, it is a fast food cheeseburger. There is 27 grams of total fat and 11 grams of saturated fat in a fast food cheeseburger. And that's without mayonnaise. So any questions so far? So let's play. I'm going to ask you some questions to see what we've learned. So what is your good cholesterol called?
HDL.
Yep. You got it. HDL cholesterol. And what is your bad cholesterol called?
LDL.
We're lousy and low for LDL. So what number should you be under to have very good LDL cholesterol levels?
70.
Awesome. Yeah, that's right. 70. Less than 70. What category would your triglycerides be if they are 450? Anybody? Yep, high. Okay, is this true or false? Cholesterol is not inherently bad. In fact, your body needs it to build cells.
True.
Somebody
True.
else?
True.
True, right. It's when too much becomes a problem. Someone who does this unhealthy habit has elevated plasma cholesterol, triglycerides, and LDL, and lower HDL levels than someone who does not do this.
Nope.
Yep. Got it. Smoking. Is this statement true or false? Tropical oils such as coconut oil and palm oil are good types of fats.
False.
Right. Tropical oils are saturated fat, which is considered a bad fat. So fill in the blank. Decreasing the amount of added sugar in your diet will decrease blank and help increase blank.
Will decrease triglycerides.
Say that again,
Will decrease your triglycerides.
right? That's the first one. And what will it help increase?
Good cholesterol.
What kind of cholesterol?
You're good.
That's it. So fill in the blank. Having blank in moderation can possibly help your HDL levels. However, on the flip side, too much of this will increase your risk for heart disease by increasing your triglyceride levels.
Red wine.
Alcohol.
Alcohol, yep, alcohol's right. Guys, we're paying attention. Is this statement true or false? Exercise is great for lowering HDL cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and triglycerides.
True.
You sure?
I guess not.
It's false. It helps increase HDL cholesterol, lowers LDL and triglyceride levels.
Oh, tricked me.
Trick question. Okay, fill in the blank. Those who need to lose weight can lose blank % of body weight and improve their LDL and HDL levels.
3 to 5%.
Awesome, yes. That's just 6 to 10 pounds if you're 200 pounds. So how long should you wait to see changes in your cholesterol level?
3 months.
3 months, absolutely. So fill in the blank. A study looking at 90,000 participants found that those who self-reported high levels of blank at work had a greater chance of having high cholesterol.
Stress.
Stress.
Yep, stress. Too much LDL cholesterol can build up in blood vessels, causing them to narrow and make it more difficult for blood to travel to the heart. This can lead to what?
Heart attack, stroke.
Heart attack, yep.
Heart disease.
So I have a few more questions that are a little bit harder. We'll see who knows them. They're not necessarily answered in the presentation, but are kind of important to know. So high cholesterol can hurt your sex life, true or false?
Can you repeat the question?
High cholesterol can hurt your sex life, true or false?
True.
Yeah, I'd say true.
Yep. It can slow pelvic blood flow, and cholesterol narrows the blood vessels from the heart to the pelvis and everywhere in between. So which is worse for your cholesterol? A scrambled egg, B, a juicy filet mignon, or 3, a scoop of ice cream?
Juicy filet mignon.
No.
Ice cream.
Yep. Remember we talked about, saw the ice cream scoop? A small scoop of ice cream packs 11 grams of saturated fat. If you're thin, you don't need to worry about cholesterol, true or false?
False.
False. Yep, even in rail thin, your genes and what you eat can get you into trouble. So why is LDL called bad cholesterol? A, it raises blood pressure. B, it clogs blood vessels. C, it causes weight gain.
All the above.
One main one.
You repeat the answers again.
A, it raises blood pressure. B, it clogs blood vessels. Or C, it causes weight gain.
B.
B, exactly. It collects on the walls of the artery, forming plaque. I don't know if you can see this or not. This is another one of my visuals. So this side is a clear artery, and this side is an artery that's got plaque. And so watch the
Yeah.
blood.
Fox.
Yep. Can you see how this flows nice and smooth to the top, and this is getting caught up in
Nasty.
the
What a
plaque?
great
Yep. So it's really taking a long time for that.
That was obviously yours.
What'd you say? So that's that. Okay. So why is HDL called good cholesterol? A, it sweeps up bad cholesterol. B, it helps lose weight. C, it tames appetite.
A,
Yep. The role of HDL is the sweeper. I call it the sweeper. It does a cleanup job in your blood, carries the excess cholesterol back to the liver, and then it's taken out of the body. 6, why do men have cholesterol trouble earlier than women?
Women have estrogen.
Yeah, you didn't even give me a chance to give the choices, but that's it. Yep, hormones. Estrogen lowers bad and increases good, but not enough to make up for bad eating. So keep that in mind. So what lifestyle changes are best for taming cholesterol? A, cut out sugar. B, meditate, quit smoking. And C, cut saturated fat and slim down.
I'm gonna say C.
ACD.
Yeah. So yeah, lifestyle changes can get cholesterol levels moving in a better direction. The most powerful is to eat less saturated fat, avoid trans fats, and get to a healthy weight. So 8, which food label matters most if you've got high cholesterol level? Food label. 1, low sugar. 2, 0 trans fat. Or 3, low cholesterol.
B.
Yep. 0 trans fat. Trans fat sends both good and bad cholesterols in the wrong direction. We didn't really talk about trans fat. Trans fat is basically a manufactured fat. Back in the 50s and 60s, they realized that they put fat full of air, that it made it more stable. So that's where you got Crisco coming into the picture, and then like baked goods were able to stay on the shelf longer because they were made with trans fats. So unintended consequences, it can just really mess your body up. And the thing you want to look for on the nutrition label is partially hydrogenated oils. That's another name for trans fat. And last one here, what are triglycerides? 1, cholesterol medicine. 2, fat particles. Or 3, chemicals in charred meat.
B,
Yep, fat particles. The most common form of fat in food and in your body. When you eat more calories than your body stores triglycerides. The body stores triglycerides in fat cells. So does anybody have any questions? Do you like to see some more fat cells?
sure.
More fat cells? More fat tubes? Okay, which one did I show you? So this one compares like regular and light foods like This one is regular mayonnaise. Oops. So that's 10 grams of fat and 1.5 grams of saturated fat in that tube. And this is light mayonnaise. So that, compare that, it's 4 grams of fat and 0.5 grams of saturated fat in light mayonnaise. This is regular margarine. Let's see, that's 9 grams of fat and 1.8 grams of saturated fat.
So is butter better for you than margarine?
I knew you were going to ask that. So butter and margarine both contain the same number of calories and fat. Butter, however, is higher in saturated fat, which 7 grams in the butter compared to 2 grams in the margarine. And butter also has cholesterol and margarine does not. So the problem is margarine's kind of a, I guess, a fake fat, although they do make it from plants anymore. So if you're worried about cholesterol, if you have high cholesterol, then maybe choosing the plant-based margarine would be the better option.
Is that like that Smart Balance?
Yeah, yep. And let's see what else I got here. So this is a salad, this is a tablespoon of salad dressing, which is not much, let me tell you. Doesn't cover much of a salad. I tried the 2 tablespoons because that's what the serving size is, and it can't have a very big salad with that to have any taste. Salad dressing regular is 5 grams of fat and 0.5 grams of saturated fat. And this is a tablespoon of the light salad dressing. Where's that? It's 1.5 grams of fat and 0 saturated fat in the light dressing. So this is cream cheese, regular cream cheese. 9 grams of fat, 6 grams of saturated fat. And this is the reduced fat cream cheese, an ounce. They're both an ounce or 2 tablespoons. Reduced fat cream cheese. That's 6 grams of fat or 3.8 grams of saturated fat. And last but not least, we have sour cream. That's 2 tablespoons of regular sour cream, 6 grams of fat, 3.5 grams of saturated fat. And here's the light, 2 tablespoons of light sour cream, 3 grams of fat, 2 grams of saturated fat. So hopefully you can maybe get an idea of how much saturated fat that you need in a day. What are your limits? And then look at the nutrition labels, see how much saturated fat is in an item, and kind of track it that way. And that may help lower your LDL cholesterol level, which is the main one we looked at. We also looked at triglycerides on your results as well. And that can be reduced by the lower saturated fat as well. Any other questions? That's all I really have today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, I need to know who the, Nicole, manufacturing employees are, so I can know who to give credit to.
Susan, I'll send you a list of them through
Okay,
email.
okay. Sounds good.
If we are a spouse of an employee, is there something we have to do as well?
I can see everybody's names on here. But one group was manufacturer employees. I don't know who was in that group, but everybody else should be okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you learned something.
I did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Susan.
Thank you.